Hi, my name is Astrid Garcia from the Turkish Affairs Council, and today I'm talking about states, IGOs, and NGOs and how they're dealing with the Syrian crisis in Turkey. So, with the influx of Syrian refugees into Turkey, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has counted over 450,000 refugees in Turkey. As an IGO, the UNHCR plans to create a fair protection program and improve basic services for the refugees. They're also trying to buffer the transitory stage that the Turkish government has been in since the adoption of the asylum law. And the asylum law partially lifts the geographical limits that denoted that only asylum seekers from Europe may be granted refugee status and therefore have possibilities to be fully integrated into Turkish society. This has led to increased resettlement opportunities for Syrian refugees and also has made it so that NGOs no longer need to be the leading legal assistance providers for asylum seekers. There's been a lot of international praise for Turkey, but even with the rest of the world applauding, it has led to increased cynicism by the actual Turkish people. Because while a US $1 billion is being spent, only $100 million is being received in Turkey to help aid their cause. So this jeopardizes the new open door policy that Turkey has adopted that has really allowed a lot of positive things for Syrian refugees there. And it's put an unbearable weight on the Turkish people's shoulders without the help of the international community. This demonstrates the necessary interdependency and international solidarity that is needed in this globalized world, and the necessity to look at global human rights that transcends national and ethnic borders. Thank you.
My name is Genevieve Lane. I'm a researcher, and my topic is ethnicity and global diversity. Throughout its history, Turkey has received refugees from such states as Russia, Iran, Afghanistan, and now Syria. Turkey has about 500,000 Syrian refugees. In this state, 70 to 75% of the population are Turkish, 18% are Kurdish, and it is 99.8% Muslim with a Sunni majority. Turkey has an open door policy towards Syrian refugees, but they are especially welcoming to those that are Sunni Muslim. In this sense, they have a cultural primacy perspective where they are tolerant of cultural differences and see religion as enough to unify them. On the other hand, some Syrian Alawites that have gone to Turkey have not felt much safer there. There are 21 refugee camps in 10 provinces, and these are mostly made up of women and children. Women in these camps have been rape victims, and they have even been sold to the rich in Arab countries. As we learned from the guest speakers, there are certain rights that refugees are supposed to have, but many of these are being violated, such as the right to work. Turks in Hatay province on the Turkey-Syrian border have close ties to Syrians since it was once part of Ottoman Syria. Antakya, which is in the Hatay province, has 1 million Turkish Alawites, as well as many Alevi that feel sympathy towards Syrian Alawites that are connected to Bashar al-Assad. Hatay was formerly known for its great diversity and tolerance, but tensions are arising as Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan wants Bashar al-Assad to be overthrown. Many Turks are going into Syria and joining al-Nusra and the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham and other factions within the Free Syrian Army in order to fight against Assad. However, other Turks are going to Syria to fight on his side. This reflects the strong divisions between the Sunni and Shiite Muslims. And even if the Turks have been committed to helping Syrian refugees, tensions are increasing as the crisis continues and refugees are seen as a threat to national security. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, what's going on? My name is Jacob Warhuus. I'm a researcher for the Turkish Affairs Council, and today we're going to be talking about economic development in regards to refugees in Turkey. So the first thing we have to talk about when it comes to Turkey is their economic structure. Turkey's a mediator between both Europe and the Middle East. They've always been so historically, since their breaking from the Ottoman Empire. Economically, they're much more better off than most of the nations throughout the Middle East, especially for their people. This has to do with IMF reforms that have been done since 1992 that have helped structure and change Turkey to I guess, a more European society, not to use any other words. Because of their close ties to Europe, they've been trying to get into the EU. This has also given them a lot of pro-democratic reforms, which changes the economic structures of a country. They are semi-industrial, with heavy industrial capital coming from Europe, which is very, very important these days. Agrarian society still makes up, or agrarian industry still makes up about 25% of their GDP, which is very high. In regards to Syrian refugees in Turkey, there's not a lot of work. The reason why there's not a lot of work is you already have a 10% unemployment rate for people from 15 to 24 in Turkey. This creates a lot of resentment towards Syrian refugees that do come into Turkey. When we look at the economy of a country, we're really looking at the stabilization of that country. If there's an economic crisis, what would happen? In a place like Turkey, you have 64% of the economy makes up a service industry. This service industry has to do with financial services, tourism, and things like that. If there's destabilization because of refugees that are coming into the country, that creates violence, or, for example, pro-democratic reforms, as we have seen throughout the Middle East, what you will end up having is less of those jobs, less of those service jobs, less tourism. So when you're economically unstable, basically the destabilization of Turkey has everything to do with the Syrians coming in. Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Maxx Ortiz for the Turkish Affairs Council, and I'll be covering health issues concerning the refugees in Turkey today. So basically the main health issues with Turkey and the refugees are basic health care for refugees, sustainability, carrying capacity, and mental health and sustainable development for the country and for its new people that are coming in. And so basically, ever since about 2011, 2 million refugees from Turkey have fled to surrounding countries. And since all this more recent stuff has begun to happen, those numbers are projected to either double or triple, according to the UN. And right now, there's already about 500,000 refugees in Turkey from Syria. And those are only registered, not even factoring in all the refugees, just those that have been registered as refugees. And so that basically presents an issue for carrying capacity and sustainability, things like that. And along the Turkish bordering towns, Syrian people now outnumber Turkish people 2 to 1. So that also brings up tensions, things like that could lead to possible violence and health issues. And besides that, Turkey has also already passed its $2 billion budget on its plan on what it's trying to do with refugees. So right now, they're already over that lid of the budget they wanted to use for the refugees. So that definitely has to do with sustainability and sustainable development. And so far, the listed goals by the UNHCR for the future contain providing basic medical assistance for all of its people and the refugees, of course, and also for more durable goals, allowing voluntary repatriation to happen whenever it's allowable, whenever someone wants it, basically, any of the refugees, and also overall just make a better foolproof plan and strategy for the refugees. Yeah.
My name is Darren Singh. I'm a researcher with the Turkish Affairs Council, and I'll be talking on matters related to security. Just a brief introduction. The UNHCR defines security threats as follows, quote, threats to the physical security of refugees emanate from a variety of sources, including organized crime, Errant military and police forces, anti-government militants, local populations, and the refugee community itself. And the vulnerability of these refugees is oftentimes magnified by the fact that they have limited materials and resources available to them. And the actual physical threats that they experience oftentimes range from theft, assault, domestic violence, child abuse, rape, and human trafficking. Furthermore, in their vulnerable state, a lot of refugees are easily manipulated for political ends, for a lot of political groups such as Al-Qaeda. So the status of the border currently, as Syrian refugees have flooded into Turkish border towns, there's been a lot of sectarian resentment that's sort of built up. In some border towns, the Turks are outnumbered 2-1 by Syrians, and there are a lot of rising tensions. And for example, the sectarian tensions are oftentimes due to religious reasons. So a lot of Alawites, for example, are moving into Turkey. There's a lot of infighting between rebel groups also, and this creates violence along the border and near the refugee camps themselves. For example, Al-Qaeda-linked groups have been fighting with moderate allies as the Free Syrian Army. And the security on site for refugee camps are oftentimes the responsibility of the government themselves. So Turkish police forces, Turkish peacekeeping and military forces are present, but the resources of Turkey are definitely sort of strained right now. A few concrete examples. In May, in Reynali, twin car bombs went off, killed 51 people. This was blamed on people working with the Syrian regime who were looking to deter rebels in the area. For example, another Syrian refugee stabbed 4 Turkish security officers because they came to intervene. There was a huge brawl. So as you can see, the issues in security for Turkey are one in many, and there needs to be more international intervention and aid coming in to help them out. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nina Bazan Sakamoto, and today I'm covering women and children's issues for the Turkish Affairs Council. It is currently reported that 21 camps in 10 provinces provide safety and security to over 500,000 Syrian refugees, which 3/4 of the population are women and children. The Turkish economy is fairly developed and leads in humanitarian response, but there are many major human rights violations that are not addressed. Turkish media and internet networks report that since August 2012, over 400 women have been raped and 250 are pregnant as a result. In one of the camps alone, more than 70 girls have been a victim of rape. Women are bought as brides and forced into marriage, as well as human organ trafficking, and Syrians are missing on a daily basis, with their bodies found in forests and mounds nearby refugee camps. Turkish law presides in events that there are Syrian violations in Syrian camps, but issues of women's human rights violations are largely ignored. To cope with some issues, various women's committees and children's committees have been formed to facilitate dialogue between the camp residents and managers to identify concerns and needs of the refugees. For example, some camps have organized women and social workers to visit camp residents to inform them about camp rules, good hygiene, and enrolling children in school. 133,000 children are insured with primary school education, textbooks, and accredited student learning achievements. In Adıyaman camp, over 80 candidates have applied to Turkish universities. Even though refugee women sit idly for the most part, they are also provided vocational skills and are being taught in this way so they can support themselves. Thank you very much.